Hi, Linus. Have you got any labs updates? And is there any big projects in the pipeline?
Oh man, Labs was super exciting because we were doing tours over the last couple of days, and I got to kind of listen in on some of the tours, and I got to find out about things I didn't know about. For example, did you know that we have a couple of software-defined radios in the RF chamber now that will go up to 7 gigahertz and will be ready for millimeter wave sometime next year? That will allow us to take phones and not just like measure how good their reception is, but also find out how much low reception affects their battery life, and we'll be able to see how good their reception is at every different off-axis angle. And apparently this is like a big problem in the wireless industry. Devices are getting approved for carrier use that have antenna issues so bad that sitting on one cushion on a couch, you can have fine signal and be browsing your x.com or whatever else it is that you're doing. Really doesn't roll off the tongue, does it?
No.
And then you move 2 cushions over and your reception sucks and your video call is cutting out or whatever it is that you're doing.
To be fair, it sounds like something you probably shouldn't do,
Going on x.com?
which is maybe okay.
Yeah, okay, but what about being on a video call with your relative? That you should do, okay? Aunt Muriel deserves the time spent with you.
Call your mom.
Even if she's only calling because she needs tech support.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to be able to find out which of these devices are slipping under the radar through back alley deals. Man, I'm really excited about what they showed me with Markbench. We had live demos running for everyone who came through the tours. Any of the whales and orcas or anyone who booked a tour, how cool is Markbench? It's going to change everything, you guys. We had V1 on display, which is just games with built-in benchmarks and collecting telemetry data and like automating the running, which is like pretty cool, but you could have done it with AutoHotkey if you really wanted to. Then we've got V2, where now we've got replays from games that support that, but do not have built-in benchmarks, like Rocket League V2. We had those running live, collecting all the telemetry data we need. The team has the CPU overhead on the client system down to, I believe, under 1% now, which is absolutely flipping incredible. Like, this is not just about developing a way to run automated benchmarks. This is about doing it in a way that is scientific and repeatable and reliable. It's really exciting. But what I got to see, actually not on the tour, sorry, you guys didn't get to see this, but what I have seen is V3, which is going to be having Markbench play the games, putting all of the inputs into a game for ones that do not have integrated benchmarks, do not support replays that can be played back in the engine and put a load on the GPU, and just don't support anything at all, but still allow us to get real-world, in-game, in-engine performance results from. And then, there's another project that they just finished that I'm going to see the results for, I believe, early this coming week, where we bought like a metric whack, which is, I think, 12 or 13.
That is the exact definition.
Yeah, 7800 X3D processors, because the problem is that in the old days, if you wanted to parallelize your testing, right? So if you wanted to say, okay, we've got a GPU review coming up, and we want to test 30 games, and we want to test, 30 different GPUs. What is that, 900 tests? In the time that we have with the cards, we couldn't conceivably run them all on a single bench. Now, in the old days, you could have parallelized that relatively easily. You just could buy more test benches because the processors ran at exactly 3 gigahertz, and there was not much performance variation between them. But now, with turbo boost or precision boost,
auto overclocking.
Yeah, essentially auto overclocking. Depending on how much you won or lost the Silicon Lottery, you can have very measurable performance differences from one identical system to the next one. So what the team did was they bought a metric whack, which is 13 or 12. 7800 X3D processors, and then they ran them one after the other, and basically took our outliers on the high performance side and on the low performance side, maybe just took them home. I don't know what happened to them. Something happened to them. And we ended up with 5 that are in the middle that are within 1% of each other. So what you're going to see is you're going to see over time, as we create these validation processes, you're going to see us massively parallelize our testing, which is going to allow us to spit out way more data. And I'm not just talking like a review, because a review is good. A review is very interesting. But a review only comes around when the product launches. And so in the long term, is that really, I mean, we've gotten to the point where GPU product cycles have stretched out past less than a year, which is when I first got into this stuff, to about a yearly cadence, to a year-ish, to 2 years. I mean, we can have a GPU family that's sitting around for 2-3 years at this point. So you could be shopping for this thing 2 years down the road. And what use is that launch review on ancient drivers looking at ancient games? No, we want to go back and we want to retest this stuff. So how cool would it be if we could get enough processors, enough benches that are within our 1% margin of error, and we could basically say, okay, look, yeah, this GPU is going to go sit on this bench for like a month. And it's going to go through every game, across every driver revision, and we're really going to track like what's been going on with the development of this card. I mean, particularly for something like Intel Arc, that would have been absolutely fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
But if we don't have these parallelization processes, we're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because we won't be able to trust the data. You won't be able to compare it to anything else in the database. So yeah, the team was explaining that to some of the people who were going through the tour. Oh man, have you seen the mouse robot?
Yes. It's pretty cool.
Okay, it's kind of janky right now. It's all 3D printed, but it's 3D printed in such a way that everything is, I think they called it like plated or something. I can't remember what they called it, but basically it means that every part is flat and can be CNC'd on a 2-dimensional CNC router or mill. So that means it's pretty much ready for manufacturing once we've got all of the kinks ironed out. But what was really cool is that they've got just like these 3D printer motors that are like moving the mouse back and forth and then comparing the real data that's output from the mouse from the expected data. So based on the DPI that's configured, how far it's supposed to have moved versus how far it actually thinks it moved. So we're going to be able to really nail down precision and accuracy testing for mice, which is all very fine and cool. But then they started talking about the juiced up one. I forget what the exact kind of motors that they're planning to use.
Is it the
I want to
ClearPath
say
one?
yes, linear motor. They're planning to use high-performance linear motors with the idea being like right now it's like this big, right? Because it's just using like an old 3D printing bed or something like that. And the idea is that they're going to be able to rip these mice at speeds of around 5 meters a second. With just unbelievable acceleration. So we're going to be able to really split hairs. And you know, it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of people look at the lab's content and go, well, why does it matter? You buy a power supply, your computer turns on, who cares? But I have never been of that mindset. Like I remember getting into like the text equivalent of screaming matches with people on the forums in the old days where some people had this attitude that was like, look, if they want to buy a Pentium dual core, you know, instead of an Athlon 64X2, and they want to pay more and they want less performance, and they're happy with that, you know, why does it matter? I'm like, it matters! They could have had more for less! Why would they accept anything but the most for the least? It's wrong!
I love how you say this is back in the day. You built literally a whole company to accomplish that goal. And then did it again, but you were like, this time with a lab.
But better.
More science.
And so, like, you know, why are we rewarding companies that are releasing subpar products? Why don't we care? We should care. If this one's a little bit better and we can prove it, well, then we should get that one, and then we should put pressure on everybody else to do better. That's how the industry moves forward. That's the whole point. You should care. And so, realistically, okay, whatever gaming mouse you choose to buy, I'm actually not going to judge because It's a peripheral. It's something you touch,
I might
right?
judge a little bit.
Okay, but it's something you touch. It's very subjective. If one of them makes your hand cramp, even though it has the best sensor, don't use it, obviously, right? But, and so, you know, in the mouse category, I think there are going to be a lot of, you know, well, really, they're both pretty good, but pretty much it comes down to, you know, what's more comfortable for you, or what has the software that you find most intuitive to use. But if all other things are equal and you find both of them pretty much comfortable, why wouldn't you take the one that's like 0.1% more accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you get rid of your stupid dinky little like laptop mouse that you're using on your desktop? Because there's like no way.
Yeah, who was that?
Electro Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, Mehdi, are you?
We can get you a new mouse, bro.
Yeah. In fact, I think we actually have a sponsor locked in for the Mehdi upgrade. I don't know if he knows that yet, but we're
we're getting you a new mouse, bro.
yeah, we're getting him a makeover.
Nice.
Yeah,
good.
it's going to be awesome. His workspace is utterly unacceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the art, which is actually amazing, and he painted it.
Which is sick. Don't remember his scopes.
Oh, yeah.
And actually his treadmill. Yeah, his treadmill's pretty
Okay, so
cool.
he's got some pretty cool stuff, but there's some things that are bad.
We're
Okay.
going to fix
Yeah.
everything that's not cool about it. In
Yeah.
fact, I think the sponsor is ASUS ROG, who also sponsored LTX. So
Hey.
yeah, we're going to be hooking him up with some really good stuff. Really good stuff. Oh crap! Linus leaks a video is in the bingo.